it out in like 3 years or whatever. It's
Yeah, it's kind of like my wife. She said we've been married 40 years, 37 good ones. So the beginning was tough. Anyway, good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. Unbelievable sunshine out there today, so take any questions you may have.
Rich, what's the most important thing when you get to this time of the year that you need to get out of your special teams?
The most important thing, I think the fundamental part of alignment, assignment, key, technique, your eyes being in the right place, to some degree you're being fundamentally sound in the things that you're doing. It's not the time for a lot of, I don't know what the word is, trick 'em type. I just think to be sound and to be fundamentally sound, put yourself in the right body position all the time. This time of year, you'd really like to stay. That's what I'm talking about. It's like a meeting. Stand up now and clap that you come in. And we didn't want to start without you, but Schneid's thought I should get going. He didn't. But good to see you. I think that's probably what it is. I just think to be fundamentally sound this time of year, to stay away from the penalties. Obviously we went through 2 penalties in the game last week in special teams that end up costing you. So I would say that the fundamentally soundness of your body position, your alignment, knowing what you're supposed to do what you're supposed to be coached to do, and do it the right way is what you're trying to do at this point in time.
The overhead shot on TV where Cooper, he looked like he just put his hands a little forward, but it sure looked like he was still behind it. Was that what they got him for?
Yeah, again, we have a rule: hand behind the ball, eyes behind your hand, and maybe that that got crossed up a little bit, and I think scooching up might have become a little bit of a problem. But the reality of it is, when they call a penalty, they call a penalty. They're really non-negotiable, for most part, and we have to live with that. And you lose a game by, a small amount of points, and that put points back on the board after he missed it. So it's kind of hard to live with through the week, but you get by it and move on to what's next.
When you look at the consistency that Brandon's brought, how much has he really kind of built up the culture in your room, and how difficult is that to do when you come in mid-season the way he has?
Well, there's a lot of questions in there, I think, that you just asked, but I think our culture's been really good. I think he's become a part of our culture, to be honest with you. But I think what he's brought is 12 years of experience at playing at an extremely high level, especially inside of 50 yards. He has a great sense of confidence. I think we've said it in this room multiple times, is that he's very particular, knows what he wants. It's made it extremely easy for Daniel to get better and improve at holding the football because of the way he wants it held, where he wants the laces. And again, Matt's always been the calming factor for Brandon and for Daniel. But the other thing for Daniel is, for Brandon, he's really just kind of kicking into high gear. He didn't play early in the year. He was kicking in some park, somewhere where he was to get through the issues he had to get through. But now that he's been here, practices on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday have been really consistent for him. And I think he's gotten better and better and better. And I'm expecting him to play his best football as we go through the postseason.
How is Eric Wilson able to play all the snaps for you and all the snaps on defense?
Yeah, I think the number one thing with Eric, I believe we said he's in supreme physical condition. I think he never loses focus in practice because he's tired for any reason. He never loses focus in the game. He's able to play multiple positions. I don't know if you guys noticed last week, but he went from playing left wing to personal protector for us on punt. When we lost Zane, he became a personal protector, and we put Fitz over there at the wing. So I just think he's in supreme physical condition. He never loses focus, whether it's in practice or in a game, never loses concentration, and he's able to just do all those things at a really high level.
So when a guy's playing so many snaps on offense or defense, do you have to consider maybe backing him off on special teams? And is Eric just so unique that it's not really a major issue with him?
Well, I think different players all do different things, right? We try to have some of our starters play in at least 2 phases if we can. We try to be smart with what phases they play in. X is playing on kickoff for us, and then he starts on defense. So he's really playing first down on defense, which is a kickoff, and then hopefully he just plays 3 more downs and he can get off on 4th. There are other guys, Keyshawn plays first down for us on offense, because he's a kick returner, and then he gets a break, and hopefully have a long drive, and he can go, play on defense. So we try to get some of our players to play, or the starters to maybe play in 2 of the phases. You'd rather not have starting defensive players on your kickoff return team if you can help it, because they've even been a part of a long drive, or they're ticked off because they just gave up a score. Now they got to go out there and flip around and be a blocker on kickoff return. So there are a lot of our guys that are doing double duty. And this time of year, when guys get knickknacks or when they get a knickknack in a game, and guys have to do double duty, we're all well compensated for our job. So we've been doing a pretty good job at it.
You guys are 3rd in the NFL in kickoff coverage in terms of where opponents start. Does that match how you feel your kickoff coverage has been this season?
It's good to know. I wouldn't know that. I don't really look at any of those things until the year is over. I think we've been playing pretty well in both kickoff and punt coverage to this point. There's always the next game. The last game is irrelevant. You learn from it, but now we have to kick off in this game, and there will be returns, I think, on both sides. Obviously in Lambeau, there's a little bit of a breeze issue, and certainly in one end zone. But I'm excited about our young guys that are starting to pick it up and learn the system. And again, we talked about the new kickoff early in the year. I still think it's a work in progress. We learned something new from all the people that we're watching during the week, and for the mistakes that we made, we're learning from it all the time.
Rich, nobody here knows Jacobs as well as you do, having coached him before. Obviously, it's not a surprise he made the Pro Bowl, but how does the Jacobs you've seen here and the impact he's had compare with the one that you coached and were around for so many years previously?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before. He's just such a unique, dynamic personality. He's never met a stranger. He can talk to the person, cleaning for us here, and he can have a great conversation with Mark Murphy. Again, he has a tremendous sense of empathy for someone else's story, regardless of who they are or what their walk is in life. And he's always pleasant, he's always pleasant as a person. Now, the football part of him, when he puts his helmet on, he's an extreme, ultra competitive player, and he practices, or I should say he plays in the game a lot like he practices. He finishes every run. The red jersey kind of goes back to something him and I did when we were with the Raiders, and now it's been brought here when he has, whether it's a bump on his wrist or shoulder, whatever he may have, he doesn't really get banged up a bunch in practice. I think he would tell you that he probably needs to get hit a little bit more. I know he's ticked off about putting the ball on the ground, but again, I think when the players see the way in which he finishes every run and finishes every catch, and the way in which he starts the practice in his individual drills, I think when the other players see that, it becomes contagious, right? The power of example matters more than the example of power, and I think he's walking around in life being a power of example of how to treat people and how to practice in the National Football League. So, I'm excited to be around him again.